say that I love for good. I hope I love of a good woman who lives in Louisiana on the bayou by the river with the moon in her. He was standing there next to that preacher man. Heroes come from small town. Poor kids and class clowns. Let's hear it for our veterans one time. There's many more just like him. All across this nation, they answer the call. There'll be a reservation. They come from every corner of our country. The cities, the mountains, and the falls.
All right.
They're red, white, sacrificing their family and their friends for our country and the freedom they defend. Giving everything they've got, some they've had to give it all. The black man, the white man, like me and you.
And we see the grand monument there for our Declaration, and to our left for our Constitution, and even over here we look at a mint for the day that we will go back when the mint is minting real money, gold and silver. I do want to recognize a birthday today. This is a birthday, and this group that I want to recognize, it was founded here just several hundred years ago, like in 1775. And I would like to, after I announce this happy birthday, I want those individuals that it may affect, I want them to stand. But this was the day of birth for the U.S. Marines.
Oh, yeah.
Any Marines in the audience? Of course, the U.S. Marines back in 1775 and the other various wars were quite different than the way the Marines are used today. They're asked to do some things that I just assume we not ask them to do. The Marines are the ones who stand behind, as all the other organizations in the military stand behind, defending this country. But we're at a stage now where we have to reassess our foreign policy and not be so careless with sending our troops overseas. Sincerely, that if this country were ever to be attacked by a foreign function, a foreign source, that every one of us would act like a Marine and defend this country.
Hell with the gun permit!
What would happen in this country if we were taken over by a foreign power because we have weakened ourselves like we are determined to do, and be invaded with a country such as the Chinese, who have a different lifestyle, they're different color, different religions, and they come and say, well, we got to protect our oil in the Gulf of Mexico. Do you think the group in this country would be diverse in coming to the defense of this country? We would stand together. So why is it so hard for those in charge to understand that there is a logical reason for some individuals that have been radicalized as a result and a reflection of an unwise foreign policy? We would not have an income tax. I'm asked so often, by the media, they say, oh, yeah, it'd be nice not to have an income tax. Yeah, and then they always say, what are you going to replace it with? You know what we want to replace?
Nothing!
The country existed up until 1913, and we did rather well. Economic growth was fine. We had our faults and our problems, but economic growth was found. The CPI, as measured at that time, was steady. Prices didn't go up under the gold standard. So all of a sudden now, since we have had those new inventions of 1913, 1913 was not a very good year.
No.
So not only did we have the IRS come in, but we had the Federal Reserve come in. Move on something that I will absolutely fight to oppose and prevent, and that is the national ID card. We don't need it. The number of people that we're getting obviously are growing, but again, I think what is such a delight and a pleasant surprise, but is very logical, is how different kinds of people come together. That is just so wonderful. There's less division, less divisiveness. But it's right and proper to be that way. Why shouldn't it be popular and right and best for us to allow people to run their own lives? In doing that, most of the time our country and our politicians give pretty good lip service to freedom of speech, even though at times it can be abused and political correctness can get carried away. And for the most part, we're allowed to lead our spiritual lives as we see fit. But for some reason or another now, for probably 50, 60, or 70 years, our government has accepted or taken this notion that you have no right to decide what you put in your bodies. Now, some of that is well-intended, but it's based on the fact that they don't think you're capable of just not making a decision. Of course, they would like to tell you that you can't smoke certain things at the same time. I know a few people in Washington that drink a lot. Teddy! Why is it that they don't recognize that prohibition of alcohol was a pretty bad experiment, and I think other prohibitions aren't very wise. This idea that
Run, Paul!